So hello and welcome. Thanks to Thomas and Theona for being here. My name is Brady Reid, and I'm the editor of the Regional Studies Association blog. The RSA blog provides a platform for researchers, students, practitioners, community members, and industry leaders to share their expertise on regional issues from across the globe. The RSA blog welcomes evidence-based articles from academia, government, industry, or the public that shares expertise or experience in matters related to regional studies. Joining us today is Thomas Fisher and Theona Morrison, co-directors with CoDEL, a small social enterprise based in the Outer Hebrides of Scotland. I'm happy to be here today and to be able to announce the 2022 Regional Studies Association Best Blog Award to Thomas Fisher, who wrote a blog entitled "How Remote Communities Turn the Challenges of Peripherality to Their Advantage During COVID-19." So before passing it over to you, Thomas, I'd like to just say that it was really a joy to read this article and to work with you to get it published. Given the relationship between the more densely populated centers and COVID-19, it's really important to ensure that rural, remote, and island jurisdictions are not left out of the conversation. And you really challenged the narrative of how people may typically perceive rural in this sense. So again, many congratulations to you, and thank you for joining us today. I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you, Brady. And of course, we're very honored at CoDEL for receiving this award. So a big thank you. And our blog post is very simple, but it is challenging for dominant narratives, as you mentioned, Brady, dominant narratives that often frame policy and frame research. And surely that is a key role in regional studies. So our early research challenged the dominant narrative about population decline in Scottish islands. And we demonstrated that in many islands, although not all, population was increasing or steady. And we continue to do that with perceptions of remote areas as somehow empty and wilderness through our current platform, digital platform, led by young islanders called USBO, which really shows how vibrant and dynamic our island communities are. The particular blog post for which we're getting this award focused on the challenge to the dominant narrative that rural and remote communities are somehow backward and need to catch up with urban areas. And instead, we demonstrated that they responded to COVID with great dynamism, with great flexibility. So maybe I'll just give one quote from our colleague, Professor Liam Glynn, Professor of General Practice in Ireland, but also a practicing rural GP. He said, "The resilience shown by rural and remote communities has been a testament to their inherent engagement, cohesiveness, and flexibility. The COVID-19 pandemic has generated renewed vigor in reimagining life on the periphery as a very attractive place for people and businesses to come, work, and live." So our island communities have huge assets and strengths to draw on in times of crises, as we've done generation after generation. And now we're focusing our attention on the climate emergency and how dominant narratives are influencing how policymakers, researchers design solutions. So let us take the example of natural capital, which is now underpinning much of green accounting at the national and global levels. Well, we've looked at this framework of the categorization of ecosystem services, all that nature provides us all. And we've decided that actually it's a very urban biased framework. It sees rural areas as places of resources to extract, and it sees rural areas as places for aesthetics, recreation, basically as a place of escape from busy urban lives. But that is not what we're about. Where in that framework, where do we who live in these places place our concepts of our livelihoods, our homes, our identity, our culture? This just doesn't feature in those frameworks. And these are not things that we enjoy or extract. They are things that are very much part of who we are. The nature around us, we are part of that, and it is part of us. So we don't separate ourselves out from that and say, oh, isn't that beautiful? Or isn't that something to enjoy? So I think that's the next dominant narrative that we're looking at. And it's really, really important because the solutions to the climate emergency are going to determine the survival for us all. So our call, as in that blog post, is to researchers, policymakers, to listen to respect, to honor and celebrate the deep knowledge and understanding, even wisdom of sustainable living that exists here in remote communities. Sustainable living in tune with community, in tune with nature, rather than seeing it as something backward or strange, or least of all as another resource to extract. So thank you very much for giving us the award. It's a huge honor. And the fact that you're giving it to a very small social enterprise in a supposedly remote Scottish island in the Outer Hebrides, which is at the very heart of Gaelic life and culture, that itself reflects that we all now need to look for solutions that may go well beyond the mainstream or the center. And the periphery is at the heart of these solutions. So I'll end with our other colleague, Mads Wolf from Denmark, whom we quote in the blog, reflecting on redefining peripherality. He says, such a new paradigm places innovation in the periphery at the very center of solutions to society's most pressing challenges, including the climate emergency. With that, thank you very much, and let's all seek to find the solutions wherever they are.
Thanks so much, Thomas. And Theona, I'll pass it over to you if you wanted to add a quick line yourself.
Well, I just would like to really build on what Thomas said and say we're really honored to receive this award. It's amazing, really, and it's great to have recognition from a place where we are in somewhere that would be seen as being on the periphery. But I just wanted to say you're not the only ones to recognize this, because this same work was presented as a window of opportunity in so-called remote places in the Arctic Circle assembled recently. So in a sense, this momentum of actually we need to look at rural and island places as a key for the future is becoming increasingly important. And rural areas are the areas which host the food production, renewable energy, fresh water supplies. They really hold the keys for the future. And therefore, recognizing those assets through what Thomas was talking about in terms of natural capitalism is really important. But it's more than that. And as Thomas also alluded to, that sense of cultural identity of being rooted in place, which are often, because of the urban pull, can be more challenging to live in some contexts, but cultural identity really places people where they want to be. And often they have a lifestyle, and we have demonstrated that in our own work, of a kind of pluralism, where perhaps they have a number of different vocations where they live. And that is a sense of a pluralism that makes resilience in a rural community or an island community. Whereas often researchers who are often distant from where people like us live will view that as needing to have more than one job to make a living. And yet in reality, that is a data set of how communities can be more resilient. And we have really sought to showcase this pluralism as a way of living that is lighter touch and a way forward in an increasing need given the climate change agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. That's excellent. And I wanted to say thank you again for both of you to be here. It's really an honor to present you with this award. It was a really fantastic blog and really a great exchange. And Thomas and I had a bit of an email exchange when we were publishing it. And this whole idea about challenging narratives, and even myself living in what you would call sort of a rural remote area in Canada on the island of Newfoundland. The own perceptions that I have were challenged when I think of rural and remote places in other parts of the globe, and that was really a great conversation. So I was excited to be able to present you with this award, and I hope next time we see each other is in person. Perhaps we can continue these conversations over a cup of coffee.